Hey guys, welcome to The Strong Young Man. What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important. In a 1954 speech to the Second Assembly of the World Council of Churches, former US President Dwight D. Eisenhower said, "I have two kinds of problems, the urgent and the important. The urgent are not important, and the important are never urgent." Today this is known as the Eisenhower Principle, and this principle is the basis for how he organised his workload and priorities. President Eisenhower arranged his affairs so that only the truly important and urgent matters came across his desk. He reportedly discovered that the two seldom went together. He was able to prioritise his problems by evaluating each issue based on two axes: important, not important, and urgent, not urgent. The priority, rules, and methods by which he handled his problems differed depending on where the problem fell within the graph. You too can adopt the same wisdom of the 34th President of the United States of America, using his principle to prioritise your problems through the techniques outlined in today's episode. The Eisenhower Principle can be represented graphically by making a matrix. We can see the two axes intersect to make four boxes. Section 1, urgent important. Section 2, not urgent important. Section 3, urgent not important. And Section 4, not urgent not important. Section 1, urgent important. This section represents the crises in your life. Crises are events or problems that are important and they cannot be postponed. Problems in this section will be made significantly worse if they aren't attended to immediately. Crises will come up from time to time due to genuine bad luck, but the ones who experience it more than others draw it upon themselves with their chaos, their consistent failure to plan, and their lack of foresight and proactivity. Crises should be prioritised and managed above everything else. You must plan some time into your schedule to handle unexpected issues and unplanned important activities that come up. If you are operating out of this section consistently, then it's likely that you aren't making time for any activities when they are not urgent. There is always some price to be paid for this, financially, emotionally, reputationally, or in inefficiency. Don't make the mistake of thinking that you will work better out of this section. The pressure will sometimes make the job get done faster, but mistakes will be made. It's far better to fabricate the illusion of pressure and operate from a position of perceived urgency from within Section 2. Section 2, not urgent, important. These are the priorities that are important to the individual achieving personal and professional goals. They don't need immediate attention. Instead, they must be planned for. Personal relationships, upskilling, health and fitness, and undertaking new opportunities all fall into this section of the graph. You should be setting aside most of your time to dedicate to these important areas of your life. If these tasks have a deadline, you must plan to complete them before they become urgent. Failure to set aside time to complete these tasks will cause them to move up to Section 1 on the graph. Section 3. Urgent, not important. These are the false urgencies that people thrust upon you. They are urgent and important to someone, but not to you, nor anybody you care about. Activities that demand immediate attention are rarely going to be important to you. They are usually associated with achieving someone else's goals, someone that you don't care about. Most of the time, the people that approach you with these urgent, not important matters have let their own not urgent, important matters become urgent. This is not your problem. Do not get sucked into this person's chaos. They made their bed, now they must lay in it. Not helping them might actually help them more in the long run anyway. These activities always appear urgent, but they really aren't that important. Inability to differentiate the urgent, not important activities from the urgent, important activities is the biggest mistake I see with people who fail to prioritise effectively. Often these people prioritise the urgent, not important activities of others over their own not urgent, important activities because the urgency demands immediate attention. The consequence of not dealing with urgent, not important activities are more obvious, but they're inconsequential to you. Learn to distinguish these urgent, not important tasks from your own urgent, important tasks by focusing on who is affected by the consequences. If you, someone you care about, or a member of the team you're working with is affected by the consequences, then it should be important to you. Cutting out these false urgencies will see you claw back masses of time. No is a perfectly acceptable response to any false urgency thrusted upon you. Remember, for matters urgent to others, you have the leverage here. What else can they do? They are in a rush to solve their problem and they can't waste time arguing. Understand that this attitude is not a selfish one. It's making you your own mental point of origin. People who continually prioritise the urgent, not important matters of others seek validation through the approval of other people. A lot of the time, they care more about obtaining approval from the people they don't care about more than they care about obtaining approval from the people they do care about. Ironically, these nice people rarely get the same respect and approval on the same level as they would have if they'd made themselves their own mental point of origin. They also get nothing important to them completed, and all their necessary tasks make their way into the urgent important section on the graph, a recipe for disaster. Rather than straight up saying no, a more political move to deal with the false urgencies that are thrusted upon you is to ask to reschedule. In the meantime, you open up the potential for this problem to be solved by someone else. Most of the time, this problem will be solved by the people whom they are important to because they are the ones most motivated to solve it. The final strategy you can use to deal with things that fall into this section of the graph is to delegate the urgency. Delegate on a lower level so that you can take control on a higher level. This is an extremely important technique to cultivate, especially if you have high ambitions or intend to climb the corporate ladder. Delegation is management 101. A terrible manager is one that always has to be controlling the information and have a hand in the task. The best managers can forfeit this, put trust in their employees, and take care of the higher level activities. This concept may be closer to you than you think. You are the manager of your own life. Learn to relinquish some of the control. What you lose in control, you make up for in maneuverability, time, and freedom to do other things. The last thing worth mentioning is that you can take advantage of others who misunderstand this aspect of the Eisenhower Principle. You can delegate anything to these people and they will action it as long as it appears urgent enough. People who can't distinguish urgent matters that are important to them versus urgent matters that are important to others are at the mercy of the people willing to leverage this concept to their advantage. Someone is going to take advantage of their ignorance and it might as well be you. Have these people do your urgent important and not urgent important activities for you to free you up to take on more activities that will enable you to achieve more in the same time frame. Section 4. Not urgent, not important. These are the distractions in your life. TV, emails, text messages, social media, video games, and masturbation are all examples of distractions that will not enable you to achieve your personal and professional goals. If you're ambitious, then you should eliminate all activities in this section of the graph. If you aren't as ambitious, limit the time spent in this section of the graph to what is necessary for your leisure. Recognise that it's not contributing to your growth in any meaningful way. The people who consistently prioritise this section above their personal goals are the least successful people. Do not surround yourself by these people, especially if you're ambitious. Their poor self-management and inability to prioritise will rub off on you, and you'll experience their chaos. A trend that I've noticed in individuals over the years is that people that consistently fail to plan for their not urgent important activities of Section 2 eventually have too many activities that transition into Section 1, the urgent important section. This creates an overbearing stress that comes from consistently operating out of the urgent important section. When the individual experiences sufficient stress from having too many urgent important matters due in an unrealistic time frame, they seek to escape reality through some sort of virtual reality that offers them immediate relief. Daydreaming, video games, social media, porn, and other distractions that don't add value often dominate their time. When this happens, it starts a snowball effect where they flip in and out of Section 1 and 4, putting out fires and then pacifying themselves with distractions, effectively halving their productivity. If this is you, break the cycle by cutting out all Section 4 activities effective immediately and move to dedicate solid blocks of time to tackling your not urgent important issues. Eventually you'll reach a state where you limit Section 1 to genuine crises and you'll have more free time to spend on distractions. Here's a finishing thought from Napoleon Hill. Men who succeed reach decisions promptly and change them, if at all, very slowly. Men who fail reach decisions, if at all, very slowly and change them frequently and quickly. Indecision and procrastination are twin brothers. Where one is found, the other is usually found also. Kill off this pair before they completely hogtie you to the treadmill of failure. Thanks for watching today's episode. In episode 89, I'll discuss why you must give back to the world. Subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when it drops. Catch you then.